there are like shadow puppets on the screen of the gremlins, and it shows Hulk Hogan watching the movie, and he gets up and goes out, and he like goes into the lobby or something, does he?
I am back. No, he stands up and looks at the projection booth and starts.
I thought there was a scene in the lobby of them saying that something was up with the projector. Isn't there?
I think like the ushers are talking with each other, and then one of them goes
Okay.
into the theater.
Oh, that's right. Yes. All right. They're talking to each other, and then they go and like tap Hulk Hogan on the shoulder, and they like tell him what's up, and he gets up, and like he's yelling, that like when people go to the movies, they want cold soda, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth. And he like rips his shirt off and tells the Grimsters that they can't take on the Hulkster.
Gremlins
Gremlins
2 is a
2,
really good movie.
it's amazing.
I'm actually making a cut of the
And
video, so it's just going to come into like the last half of you talking about Gremlins 2.
and the best part though is they made an alternate cut for the VHS release, where then instead of the film breaking, it's like a VHS effect of static, and like it switches through TV channels, including like they shot a thing of like a western of little like gremlins with little cowboy hats shooting, and John Wayne dubbed over in a very bad John Wayne like sound alike, saying like y'all cattle rustlers, get off of my property or something.
Oh boy.
I love
Welcome
Gremlins too.
back to the Golden Grimmies. More games came out, more terrible things happened. 2017.
You really need to show him Gremlins too.
I do. I also need to show him that thing that some guy made it where it was like more VHS stuff, but it was the Gremlins in different movies.
Yes, that was like it was like a fan film of like
Yeah.
Gremlins 3.
Like
That
the
was really
Gremlins
good.
steal the hubcaps off the Batmobile in the 1989 Batman, and yeah, there's some good
Yeah,
stuff in there.
it was like the premise was that they got inside a DVR.
Yeah. Anyway, up next is, I think, worst publisher, right?
Oh wait, well, let me look. I was busy thinking about Grimmies.
Oh, I know.
Okay,
You always are.
here it is, publisher.
Worst publisher, and I kind of wrote some of the reasons for each one of them.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. EA for Battlefront 2, Need for Speed, Visceral Games, Respawn, and Mass Effect. Valve for Steam Direct is a mess, features still not fleshed out or working, Steam sales still stink. Bungie and Activision Blizzard for the Ingrams and EXP scheme. I actually spelled Ingrams wrong, I didn't know it was instead of an... Oops! It's almost like I don't care about Destiny! WB loot boxes and Shadow of War and mishandling charity donations. Sega, sudden DRM inclusion in PC games, late delay announcement of Mania. Arguably, the Supersonic thing would also fall into that category. I don't know if that was them or Sonic Team. Capcom for Marvel vs. Capcom, and Konami, Metal Gear Survive is still a thing that they are doing.
Can you do a favor for me?
Yes.
Read the Valve one again.
Steam Direct is a mess. Features still not fleshed out, working. Steam sales still stink.
There you go.
Thank you. Now you need to make it an emote and put it right next to it.
Okay.
So we need to whittle this down to 3?
Yeah, I'm probably.
I think already maybe take Konami off the list because I mostly just inserted it as a joke of just like, huh, isn't it funny how Konami's still not putting games out and the only thing that they got looks terrible? But also, like, whatever. Everyone else did worse.
Yeah.
Miraculously, Konami was not that shitty this year because they kept to themselves.
So my top 3 right now, I would say, would be EA, Valve, and Steam. Or no, EA, Valve, and Bungie.
Okay. So I'll say this about Sega, and then I think we should actually strike them off the list.
You forgot the one thing where they released a DLC and locked pretty much half of their player base off of Endgame until they bought the DLC.
You might actually need to explain that one to me, because I'm not that familiar with that.
All right.
Um,
Just
no, go
let
ahead.
me.
Explain it now.
Okay. So the that Osiris DLC or whatever that increased the level cap to like I don't know I don't fucking care, but like that also made it to where the level cap for the other stuff that you did like the what do they call them, firefights? I don't give a shit. Like that
Strikes.
strikes. Thank you. So the strikes also got their level cap increased. So as a base player, you couldn't play the strikes that were in the game already until you bought that Osiris DLC.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and they did this before in regular Destiny 1, but nobody gave a shit because, console plebes, but it was only in the PC. We're just like, this what? What are you doing? And Bungie's like, "Oh, we're sorry. We're gonna fix that real quick. Don't worry, guys." Wink.
I mean, I think in general, just the EXP obfuscation is awful. Like,
So
not
also, what
actually rewarding you what it says it's giving you.
could you also explain that maybe? Because I don't
So
know what you're talking about.
Danny might know more
the
about that than I do.
That's
EXP
that's who I'm
stuff, or
talking to.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
so when you they basically treated it like an MMO expansion where like your level cap could be 20 and the new DLC got it up to 30. And so regular stuff that you did at level 20 is now level 30 stuff, so you can't do that until you buy
No,
the
I
DLC.
mean the XP obfuscation.
Oh, to short?
I
So
don't know what that is.
the way that I understood it was that the numbers that so your bar was not actually moving at the same rate that the numbers were incrementing. So you were
Oh,
not actually getting as much EXP as you needed to level up as what the game was showing you actually got. So
Oh,
basically you felt you were doing better when in fact you weren't doing as good as the game told you.
wait, why?
oh, so
Is that
they
a bug?
reduced the EXP gains. No, this was on purpose because they're just like, oh, yeah, we'll fix that real quick, and they fixed it real quick. But it was it was so people wouldn't like the higher level you got, like or whatever. I guess they call them like prestigious levels or whatever. The less you get, but it was like even more so. Like it was a bigger curve than people.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a case of like you might not have noticed it on like a surface level inspection, but it was when somebody sat down and ran the numbers and was like, "Hey, actually, this is messed up." And like that's the point. I mean, obviously, trying to obfuscate it is they don't want people to notice. So,
Yeah, that's very bad.
yep, it's pretty shitty. Yeah, I can totally see Bungie and Activision being on the top three.
Yep.
I think that we can maybe take Capcom off. I know for like the same reasons we took them off as developers. I think kind of apply here.
Yeah, like Capcom, they've only done like mistakes or just like they've tripped a lot this year.
Well, that's an
They've
understatement, but yeah. I mean, it's mostly more that they have had successes despite their issues.
that Monster Hunter beta.
Um, Sega, I think we can also take off, but I kind of wanted to elaborate just a little bit on the specific reasons I chose Sega and sort of how it differentiated from Sonic Team was that Sega has now been including de novo DRM into their PC releases, and they started this with Mania, and it was just a really bizarre decision to begin putting that in. And de novo, if you look up and understand more about it, it is one of those systems that if it ever went away and you can no longer connect online, great job, now your games are gone. They don't work anymore. And it's just bizarre to put that into something, especially like a $20 retro title, like let alone in anything else. Um, and then they had that thing where they delayed Mania on PC and they gave all of like 2 days notice, which was awesome because I had like a collector's edition pre-order and there was no way to switch it onto another console or cancel it or anything like that, and I wanted to just play the game, so I bought Mania twice, which like I do kind of want to fund a game like that, but at the same time, that is the result of them not communicating to the consumers, which I think is shitty.
At the same time, you're a sucker.
I am, yes. That's why I bought it twice. I mean, I say take them off the list because also they still greenlit Mania, which in itself is really crazy and like a odd moment of sobriety for them.
Also, they've been putting out Yakuza games.
Exactly. Well,
they put out 2 this year.
They've been putting them out better than they have in the past. I think there was a stronger argument in the past of like, yeah, that's a game that they have, but they're really fucking over the Western market with it. And they've been getting better about that over time, is my understanding. So
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why they would be taken off.
Yeah, I understand. Same reasons as Capcom, they have been doing good things despite some of their mistakes.
Okay.
And honestly, like the DRM off. Yeah, the DRM stuff and all that, I also think don't compare to like what Capcom did to Marvel vs. Capcom. So I also kind of think maybe removing WB.
Okay.
So I took notes on them. Because the Mike Forgey thing requires some explanation. He died of cancer in 2016. They put in a character named Forthog, the Orc Slayer, who he pops in the game and he's just like, "Oh, you suck!" And then he kills the dude who's about to kill you, and then he walks into the sunset. And it's like this little thing that they did to honor him, and then they set it up as a piece of DLC that you had to make a charitable donation in order to get, which I don't think is a problem. The problem was saying all the proceeds would go to Forgey's family, which was untrue because in some states that is not how that works. You can't actually direct those, like that money into a charitable donation. In other countries, like it only affected the US. So like if you did that in Britain, that money doesn't go to his family. It probably goes into WB's pockets, if anybody, which is like a really bad look. And so WB, at least to their credit, said, okay, that was a bad idea. He's just going to be free, and we're just going to make an undisclosed, like, lump donation to his family, and that's going to be that.
Okay.
So, like...
It sounds like a very stupid thing.
It is... It would have been a problem, I think, if they stood their ground and they continued with, like, this charity scheme that did not work out the way that they said it would. But they didn't. They, thankfully and perhaps surprisingly, took a step back and said, like, yeah, we get you. That's a shitty thing to do. And, like, they put loot boxes in Shadow of War, but I don't think that they actually impact the gameplay, so... But I mean, hey, you go to Jim Sterling's channel and he'll tell you in 10 videos how it impacts the gameplay.
Ugh, no thanks.
It's the only content he puts out anymore. He's mad about loot box.
Yeah.
Fair thing to get mad about.
They hurt him a lot.
WB was very mean to him.
I didn't know they made him free. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, he actually popped up in my game and saved my ass once. Because I went into an area where there were 2 orcs, and I thought, oh, I got this, and then like 3 more of them showed up, and things went to shit. They went to shit. I do think that is a very charming way to kind of pay tribute to a member of their team, though. Like, I think that's nice. It's just a bummer that, like, the first steps in doing that were as clumsy as they were. So, yeah, I'd say take them off the list, and it's EA, Valve, and Bungie. And I don't think it's a surprise who is number 1.
Valve.
What? No.
Wait, why?
I have a timeline. I have prepared a timeline.
Okay.
So just I do kind of want to talk about... We kind of gave Bungie their time. I want to give Valve their time before we get to EA.
By the way, you never even took the time to mention this hot new emoji that spent time.
Oh, no, I love it. He's a very good little boy, and I want to give him a smooch.
That's why I needed Danny to keep talking about Destiny while I was making it.
Valve is kind of your thing, though. You want to tell us about?
No, I don't care anymore.
Oh, what? I
I
put them
mean,
on here for
look,
you.
I'm not gonna.
It
I've
was
written
all
a lot
for
of
you,
words
Larry.
about Valve. Valve is bad. Valve keeps every year, in every way, Valve is getting worse.
I don't know if they had a worse year than last year, but I think they also did less this year. Like last year was the whole thing with just like, oh, you guys are gambling? Cool.
Yeah.
Like this year's
Hey.
mostly Steam Direct, which is a shit show. But
Yeah.
like,
Also, was last year when they introduced the Steam Link and the controller, or was that the year?
I don't know if that was 2015 or 2016.
For those things, clearly selling extremely well, considering they're practically giving them away.
Yeah. I almost bought the Steam Link just because it was ridiculously cheap. Also, I thought that that might actually maybe help with recordings because then we could play stuff that's on my bedroom computer out in the living room. And for like the $20 that they wanted for it, not that bad.
Steam Link is $5 right now.
Okay, well I guess I'm buying that when we're done here. I did take some notes on them. Steam pulled in a bunch of people earlier in the year to evaluate Greenlight and offer suggestions on how to fix the system, and the thing that they came out with was Steam Direct, which gets rid of the single $100 donation that you had to make in order to get your games up on Steam, and replaced it with $100 per game, which did not stem the tide at all. Like, there is more bad games on Steam than there has ever been. I wrote here to quote what I have. According to Jim Sterling, who really pays attention to this sort of shit, over 6,000 games have been released on Steam this year, over 4,000 released last year.
Well, it's a healthy platform.
Bullshit. Horror Hospital came out on that platform this year. Look, so did Kyo's Adventure.
They like to welcome indie developers.
Like a lot of it still boils down to just the platform is flooded with unfinished games, with games that exist just so you can grind out a ton of achievements. The trading card system still seems fucked. There's like a lot of features that still don't work with Steam. It's like every single month we have to set up family share again.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I found an easier way to get around that, which is just always keep one game of yours installed.
Seriously.
And then,
yeah, I was gonna. I forgot.
If it craps out, like, just select it and try to play it, and it'll be like, hey, I'll request access, and then you hit that, it's like, oh, okay, you already had access, here you go.
It's still, though, just it shouldn't keep falling apart like that. That's been out for long enough.
Yep.
In general, the Steam platform seems like it's in dire need of some kind of major overhaul. And then at the same time, I don't trust Valve to do that without breaking everything even worse.
No.
To sell cards, I gotta get on my fucking phone and hit this thing? Like...
Yeah, for me to sell cards or something, I have like a 2-week holding period on it because I don't have that authenticator thing, which seems like a huge hassle.
Yeah, especially within, because like the whole point to selling a card is you sell it at what the value is, so you know you flip that real fast. 2 weeks, who knows?
Yep.
The Steam sales still suck too. Like they're so low effort of they no longer have any sort of interesting component to go along with them, or any kind of daily deal or anything like that. And the quantity which you're getting money off of is poor.
The daily deals disappearing also have to do with the worse deals, because if it's just the same price the whole time, like they don't really need to lower.
Well, so there was that thing of just like Injustice 2 was on sale, and I thought, oh, okay, this is a fairly new game, and I don't think I'm realistically going to get it cheaper anywhere else, and I bought it. And then you immediately were like, what are you doing? It's cheaper on Green Man. It's like $10 cheaper.
By like $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the way deals work now on PC games is they're spread out more across the year, but the one constant is that they are pretty much always better elsewhere than they are on Steam.
Yeah. Even like stuff like Humble Store will often have them
Oh
either
yeah.
at the same price or cheaper. And at that
Sometimes
point, I would
free.
much rather buy from Humble. Yeah, they have
Dude,
free ones pretty often.
That I know it's not games related, but that whole software pack that Humble offered was insane.
The whole what?
The software pack. Like I got Vegas
Oh yeah.
Pro for $20, but like I got a ton of other stuff in that is normally worth like hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, versus Steam, where like here's 20% off, I guess, whatever. And
Yeah.
I think that wouldn't be so much of an issue for me. It's that, and I know it's not Valve's fault, but seeing nerds pitch a tent over Steam sales still and going like, praise gaming, bleh, and posting their stupid ass gifs of like, oh, the Steam sales, it's back! Games!
Do people still do that though?
Yes, they do, and it makes no sense to me. Those sales are not that good anymore.
Nope. They haven't been for several years.
You should be thanking whatever weird ass Swede runs Green Man Gaming, not Gaben.
Well, yeah, I forget Humble Bundle has that like sub fee or whatever.
You mean the Humble Monthly?
Yes, Humble
Yeah.
Monthly. Right now, you can
I
get
subscribe
Long
to
Dark.
that. Yep.
Yeah, you can get Long Dark for free.
Oh,
You get
nice.
Long Dark, Quantum Break, Dawn of War 3.
Yeah.
Plus like other games.
I subscribe to that just for Dawn of War 3 because it's like $12. At that point, it's worth it just for that.
Just to get Dawn of War and Long Dark.
So,
well, I already had Long Dark. But like that and Quantum Break, which Quantum Break I had like through the Microsoft Store, so at least having it on Steam's a little bit better.
Anyway, pee pee poo poo Valve is still bad.
Yeah.
Basically. I think what the discussion becomes then is what Valve did worse than what Bungie and Activision Blizzard did over the...
No.
Not really.
So you would say Bungie's put Bungie up.
I'd say put Bungie up just because they have been really bad to their player base. And they just made the exact same.
You're fading out a lot, but I understand your sentiment is they have been insanely poor in their practices.
Yeah. And like again, like their game is complete shit.
Yeah, well, it's Destiny.
I don't think it is though.
Bungie made a Bubsy this year, guys.
No, they didn't.
It's #1.
Turns out it was really Bungie that made it all along.
Oh no. Telling me that Black Forest was just like a front for them?
Okay. Here. This.
I need to remember everything that Electronic Arts did. There's a reason I wrote it all out, because there was so many.
But look, it's #1.
It is. But we should also recap Electronic Arts' year and give them their due.
Okay, here you go.
Because, motherfucker, it is like last year they saw how bad Konami was doing, and they were just like, whoa, hold on.
Remember how last year for Konami you just put a picture of pachinko machines?
Yeah. No, I wrote about them too, but I definitely did. There was a picture of pachinko machines. I don't even know where to start with EA, because this is a company that routinely wins Consumer Sports Company, and there are some years where I look at them and I go like, huh, yeah, okay, video gamers get really mad about video games and vote them up, whatever. This year, they're the worst company. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, they kind of kicked everything off with, like, Mass Effect Andromeda, and just, like, not giving that team the resources or the funding or anything that they needed to actually put out a good game. They had a bunch of fresh faces on it handling the Mass Effect franchise, which they should be treating with much more prestige than they did. And then when they saw the state that game was in and they saw what their financial quarter was going to look like, they were like, good enough. And then they rotted it on out there.
It's like EA likes to. It's like EA likes to like have a reason to make to axe out their other what do they call them, like their publishers, so the developers, so like
They're
they
in-house
just want,
studios.
yeah, they just want a reason for their in-house studios to fuck up, and they look at them, it's like, this is the perfect way to fire you. Go on.
I do
this
kind
game.
of wonder how much of it is them looking at, like, it's an expense having the studio around, and we can keep the IP and really just kind of get rid of it.
I feel like they do that just to like, get like a nicer tax return. Like, what the fuck?
I don't know.
I
They're
like
It's
imagining
like they're the
some
UA,
guy.
they're the UA bowl of video games. We're just like,
Oh no,
we'll
I don't agree with that. Like,
we'll axe out one of our in-house developers, and we'll just write it off as a tax expense. Easy.
I
Like,
like
we'll get
imagining
money out
some
of it.
guy at EA that just like goes into their office and is like, "What you got over here? Sorry, that kind of looks like Shrek. Great, put it in. What's this? This guy's eyes bug out. Fantastic. Got another winner on our hands."
her face is tired. Ah, love it. Put it in the game.
Oh man, that's right. I forgot about that part.
But like they killed Mass Effect, which is something that I've brought up a few times now. I didn't think that was possible. Like, Mass Effect 3 was divisive. That didn't kill Mass Effect. It only took this one really bad game, though, for them to go like, okay, I guess we're not doing any more Mass Effect. And like, that's kind of fucked up because they're the reason that game is bad. They were okay with that being subpar, and now they're saying that they're going to like freeze that IP out. So like, that doubly sucks for someone who's a Mass Effect fan. It's like, you got a bad game. You're also never going to get more games in that series, probably.
Yeah, it's such a fucking shithole.
Yeah. Some would say it's maybe one of the biggest shitstorms of the year. Which actually, you know what? Electronic Arts is number one, but the biggest shitstorm list is so dominated by them, maybe we just want to start posting that, and then I can kind of get through these because they apply to that even more.
Okay.
Because we're actually going to do the impossible and try to figure out which one of EA's fuck-ups is actually the worst.
I
I think I know, but like,
also think I know.
I kind of want to rank them against one another and just be like, here's the definitive list of like how bad each thing they did was.
It's like, man, this is the weirdest ranking series yet.
Yep. Ranking the EAs.
You really have a fetish for rankings, don't you?
It's actually the funny thing is I really hate ranking things. That's the biggest joke about this whole thing is I actually really hate it. I think it's dumb.
Number 3.
Valve!
Number 2.
Bungie and Activision Blizzard.
Number 1.
Electronic Arts, everything about
Oh man,
them.
there are a lot of entries on this.
Yeah, it's a big list. Most of them are EA.
All right, here you go.
Okay, Team Direct, Bugs and Show for Destiny 2. So, we kind of already... Alright, I'll just run down the list. Biggest shitstorms. Visceral Games being sent to the EA graveyard. Need for Speed is bad and has loot boxes. Battlefront 2! Ejecting Mass Effect into the cold vacuum of space. Destiny 2's EXP obfuscation. I would also wrap in what Danny said about the DLC thing with that.
Okay.
Loot boxes in Shadow of War. I would also say / the charity bungling. Steam Direct is pretty much the same as Greenlight, and Nick Robertson's Funky Feet fiasco. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So immediately I think we just strike off the loot boxes in Shadow of War and Steam Direct basically being the same as Greenlight, because when breaking down each of the parts of these other things, I think that they're bigger shit shows.
Yes, also the Shadow of War thing was just like a prelude to Battlefront 2.
Yeah, basically, that's a gross way of thinking about it. So I already started getting into ejecting Mass Effect into the cold vacuum of space. They were okay with releasing a subpar Mass Effect game, and then went, oops, it's gone forever now. Following that, there was also the business about Visceral Games. They were doing a solo, like a single-player Star Wars game, which, hell yes, a single-player Star Wars game from Visceral is what I want. Uh-oh, Visceral is dead.
Yeah.
We will never get any more Visceral games.
R.I.P.
They've also now shepherded that Star Wars game off and have kind of just gone like, hey, you know, it wasn't kind of like aligning to what our analytics say would make money. And based on what we now know their analytics say make money, I'm really worried about that game.
Yeah.
They then rolled straight from that into Need for Speed, which is a bad Need for Speed, and also is swamped with loot boxes in a very similar way to Battlefront 2, where it's very much tied to progression. And then Battle.
Everything, almost everything about it.
Here's my timeline of events. Hi, George Brundle. Hope you're enjoying the Golden Grimmies. We're about to get into the biggest shitstorm of the year, specifically Battlefront 2, and I'm going to cover pretty much everything that went wrong with that game, and it's going to take a while. So, if you don't want to sit through that, please click the timestamp below and move ahead in the video, because I go on for a while, and it's probably reiterating things you might already know.
Okay. Rewind it like Batman.
Okay. I'm going to take the clock back. Get Mr. Coffee up here. He's going to do the rewind sound for us.
Yep.
So
Mr. Caffeine, please.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's all Aisha Tyler talking about her vagina now. Whatever. So they said that there would be no DLC because part of the problem the original Battlefront had was the DLC kind of fractured the player base and sort of corralled people into what maps you even had access to. And they didn't really announce the way that they were going to address that, because obviously they want to have some sort of monetization in place. Beta comes out, there's loot boxes. Oh, that's your monetization. I get it. The loot boxes contain star cards, which change your stats, your cosmetics, and your weapons, and people flip out over it because they were already coming off of the whole, like, Shadow of War has loot boxes thing. People are kind of just fed up with them in general. You and I talked about it, Larry. I don't think those were especially egregious loot boxes at the time because it was giving it out to you like as often as Injustice 2 did, basically. So they go, oh, okay, you don't like that, so we're removing epic cards from the loot boxes, and if you get a duplicate, you get crafting parts, which, by the way, no you don't. You get credits, which are the worst thing to have because you want crafting parts more than you want credits, because it lets you just buy specific things. They also promise that you have to earn the right to be able to upgrade your star cards and unlock most weapons, but you can't unlock them unless you reach a high enough rank, which is determined by playing the game. Problem is, earning a high enough rank is not based on playing the game necessarily, it's based on how many loot boxes you opened and how many cards you got and how big is your card level for your class.
Well, no, there are two things. There's the card level, but there actually is a thing based on your overall level that you have to have a certain rank before you can fully upgrade them. But it's actually a pretty low threshold. I think like once you get to level 20 overall, you can get everything to max.
I mean, the problem, regardless, though, is that there, or at least was, still that gate there of saying, like, you have to have X number of star cards in your inventory to unlock the slot. And to unlock being able to upgrade it, which is fucked up. Because that's random, or it's based on whether or not you arbitrarily bought a bunch of things that you didn't want for your character with crafting parts just to get the level up. They did, though, recently remove that, so like all of those slots are now unlocked, and you get like 3 free cards for each class, but they're just basic common cards, which is better than the way it was, but it's still not great.
Yeah.
See what else I had here. Weapons are unlocked by getting kills. Weapon upgrades are by getting kills with the corresponding weapons. The whole
Yep.
system ends up getting very confusing and very messy.
It's like, if you want to play as a sniper, good luck, because you're going to have to play a lot and get a lot of kills with the really crappy guns before you can get one that can actually one-shot people.
Yep, and the way that kills are factored in that game is whether or not you got the last hit, not whether or not you took the most damage away from the person who died.
Yep.
So, great. Especially because, yeah, that sniper rifle takes like 3 fucking shots to actually kill somebody.
Yeah, the next one gets a little bit better, but then the third is like a carbine, and then the last one is the one that can actually kill people.
It's... So, somewhere in this time, EA then revealed that arcade mode, which is a single-player experience for some reason, would be metered by energy, similar to what you would find in a mobile game. The point is to control how many credits a player earns by taking on arcade challenges. Also, those challenges don't take much more than like 2 or 3 minutes to beat.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a great way to get like 500 credits, which will not buy you anything. And you spend maybe 10 minutes doing that. So,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah.
On November 9th, the pre-release goes live, and people notice that iconic characters like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are locked behind a steep 60,000 credit price gate, which, as people with too much time on their hands pointed out, would take you around 40 hours of playing the game to unlock. This time does not factor in credits earned by completing challenges. Also, at the same time, a purchasable currency, crystals, is revealed.
Yay.
EA then gives the worst...
I have something.
Sure.
Here's the reaction to that. There you go.
That's, yeah, accurate. EA then gives
Danny
the
has
worst
no idea who
response.
Charles Nelson Riley is.
Listen to the Charles Nelson Riley song that Weird Al did, and it gives you all you need to know.
Wait, what? Listen to what?
The Charles Nelson Riley song that Weird Al did.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, CNR.
Yeah.
So people call EA out on this, and they end up taking to Reddit, where they give the worst PR response I think I have ever read in my life.
Yes.
Saying that it was to provide, quote, provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. This becomes the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, which was previously negative 24,333 votes, for a post asking to be downvoted. At last check, about 3 days ago, this was at negative 672,000 votes. I normally would not care about, like, yo, a Reddit post got downvoted a lot, but fuck.
Also, this was shortly before they were scheduled to do an AMA.
Oh yeah, I didn't include that. They did an AMA, and they pretty much danced around any controversial topic as you would expect.
They did not answer anything, and they were there. I think they answered like 8 posts and then disappeared.
Sounds about right. People then began boycotting the game and pulling pre-orders. Forbes later reports that Battlefront 2 sales figures were down 61% from Battlefront 1. EA stock fell 8% after an annual average growth of 3%, breaking their all-time high. They are still doing well overall this year, but this like should have helped their stock. It's a Star Wars game. Like they should have done better after this released, and instead they dropped 8%, which is actually...
Yeah.
The crazier thing for me though is that figure of like 61% under Battlefront 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like that actually tells me that people stuck to their guns when they said that they were canceling pre.
Yeah, I think so too.
EA lowers cost for heroes by 75%, but also reduces the amount of credits earned by 75%.
Well, that wasn't actually true. They reduced the number of credits you got from finishing the campaign, but that was it.
So when looking this up, saw people saying that for Galactic Assault, they also lowered the credit amount that you got.
I don't think that's actually true.
No, I don't know. Regardless,
don't
like
know.
changing the amount that you earn off the campaign is also shitty. It's like that's a campaign too, where you're earning loot boxes for items for heroes that you don't have unlocked. So that's cool too. Credit accrual rate is based on time and not performance outside of small gains for acolytes like MVP or most kills, resulting in people strapping rubber bands to controllers to farm credits. This most notably tanks the heroes vs villains mode, as it doesn't last that long and is the quickest way to grind out credits. There is a video on my personal YouTube channel of me getting into a couple matches of heroes versus villains and literally the entire enemy team just running in circles. So,
yeah.
Rad.
Yep.
Yeah, that mode is unplayable. And adjustments have not been made to mitigate or discourage them. Someone on Twitter by the name of Big Sean66, who has EA game dev at EA in his handle, claims to have received over 1,600 death threats and personal attacks. Developers and journalists start discussing the tweet and the nature of consumer and fan reaction. Turns out, whoopsie, that was not a real EA dev and they just made it all up.
And he had been at it for a while, too.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where there were real EA employees that, and somehow none of them knew.
Yeah, somehow everyone got roped into that. I don't know what that dude's in-game was. Like, did this provide him a thrill?
I don't know. He didn't do anything with it.
God, yeah, it's so weird. It's obvious, it's part of the shitstorm, but it is, the weirdest footnote in it.
Yeah.
So at the game's actual launch, or the day before, EA quietly removes the ability to purchase crystals, though if you still have them, you can still spend them. They later say that crystals will be back at a later date, but they're evaluating changes to the progression system.
Crystals will return in 2018.
They paid Daniel Craig enough crystals, now he's doing another James Bond.
Yeah. He kept saying, boy, I'm not gonna do any more if they don't give me the crystal.
Boy, I'll be able to get all these character skins in Battlefront 2, mate. Chim chim tree. Pip pip cheerio. That's my Daniel Craig.
Hello, it's me, Daniel Craig.
A very good Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. You don't have to tell me. Hello. I played James Bond.
He's a real dandy. A real fancy man.
James Bond's a very sophisticated man.
It is reported by VentureBeat that Disney slid in and told EA to fix this mess. Reminder that Disney would have had to have signed off on everything and is therefore complicit. EA later does the thing that, as Dave Lang says you don't do. They threw their partner under the bus. Saying that they were restricted by what they could do with cosmetics because, quote, people really care about the canon. Which means Disney cares a lot about the canon. And therefore they wouldn't be able to get away with things like a pink Darth Vader skin. To reiterate, they don't point out Disney in any certain terms, but boy, it is heavily implied that they're talking about Disney.
Yeah. I mean, that was always a problem with Lucasfilm, even, before they were sold to Disney, they were always very specific about what could and could not be in games.
There was a long time where they didn't let them use the actual Star Wars music.
Didn't let them use the actual what?
Star Wars music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which, you would think John Williams' score is, so integral to what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5 is better than it. Better soundtrack.
Well, yes. Absolutely. I agree with that.
As the game launches to the public, lag becomes a highly pronounced issue, more so on some maps than others. People observe that the servers are connecting everyone, no matter their location, to a data center in California, resulting in pings commonly reaching between 130 to 250 milliseconds. Checking the ping site in the account menu will show the user's current location and ping, but players are always routed elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Exciting.
I know. Let's talk about pings. Hey, look,
Let's talk about pings.
I know that mattered to you because there was a long stretch of time where you refused to play that game because the lag was that bad.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it was a weird thing where it was way worse on some maps. Like
Yeah,
Kashyyyk was
Kashyyyk
always
was
way
unplayable.
worse than others.
This was patched temporarily before breaking again a week later.
Excellent.
Story mode, which was a major selling point behind Battlefront 2, is also poor for reasons we have mentioned. EA later makes changes so players are rewarded more credits, loot boxes are easier to grind, classes have all-star cards unlocked at default, and players are given a pick of a few base level cards. That's Battlefront 2.
Great. Boy. Finally.
Look, to be fair...
Watch out, someone's typing.
I know. Oh.
Yep. Exactly.
Dire reaction to it.
I hate to have to spend that long on one of them, but there was so many steps along the way where you're constantly stopping and going like, this alone would already be the biggest shitstorm, but it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like the immediate reaction to the loot boxes in the beta is already enough to kind of just like sit back and go like, oh wow, like people are mad.
Here's my reaction to a guy in charge of putting loot boxes in Battlefront. There you go.
I
All right.
can't believe Battlefront 2 happened the way that it did. Thank you, Danny. This is also another appropriate reaction.
That's a very good GIF I've never seen.
That is fantastic. That's basically me at like the halfway point through this fucking list too. That's me hitting like the people strapping rubber bands onto their controllers and going like, what? Battlefront 2 it has to be number one. Like, killing Mass Effect is crazy.
But the Battlefront shit is
Wait,
shit.
did you talk about the Nick Robinson thing?
No. Okay. So, hi, George Brundle here. In the interest of fairness and accuracy, I need to issue a correction about this upcoming nominee, titled Nick Robertson's Funky Fiasco. For the better part of the last year, I've been operating under the assumption that Nick Robertson had been requesting foot fetish photos from people as part of his DM skeeving on Twitter. I now know that this is probably not actually the case. I believe I may have been conflating some information. There is another Nick Robertson out there who is a celebrity with like some weird foot fetish speculations surrounding him. And then there's another person on Twitter tangentially related to everything else who apparently is also dealing with some sort of foot fetish thing. Either like getting sent to them or they're propagating. I don't really know. About the point that I threw my hands up and stopped looking is when I discovered a site called min.wikifeet. So I'm just going to tell you the facts as I have them and I understand them. I'm not going to get into any assumption or impressions about what specifically was talked about in DMs. There is some information out there if you want to go look for it, but I don't want to paint anyone in an inaccurate light. Because obviously this is a big thing. But this started earlier in the year when Nick Robertson made a snide comment towards the Overcooked devs about the quality of their games. Someone by the Twitter handle of, I believe it was Bloody Honey, called him out for this and said, like, you know, maybe Nick Robertson would have had more time to help the Overcooked devs if he weren't busy sliding into the DMs of women in games. And then it blew up after that, that Nick was sending DMs out to women in the game industry and just harassing them and pestering them and getting up to some really grimy shit. And so this sort of culminated in Polygon dropping him. Nick is no longer working for that website. He was a pretty big face over there. He is was one of the bigger contributors to that website. You know, well-known site for the McElroys shoving amiibos in their mouths, Monster Factory, and all that stuff. Like they got some good things over there. Nick Robertson is one of those things that for a while people kind of thought was really good about Polygon, and now, so it definitely was a big moment in 2017. It definitely was a shitstorm. Oh, you know what actually should have made this list was that dude trying and failing miserably at the Cuphead tutorial, and then a bunch of game journalists later coming out and going like, "You don't have to be good to play video games professionally, guys. You shouldn't have to know what you're talking about or what you're doing."
You kind of do.
Well, no, the thing was, in that case, the dude that was playing it does not play games, and it was as a goof.
So my thing is
I have footage of the person trying to play the game right now.
Whoa. I have no issue with the inciting incident. My issue is with other game journalists' reactions to it.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, you should be able to play a game, or at least be able to contribute something to the discussion. And okay, let's watch this GIF.
What is? No.
Yep, it's just...
I'm demoting him again.
He waves his arms around like Greg, though.
You know, that's true.
Inspector Anime also demoted.
Did you add these new roles or these new ranks?
Yeah, I was just goofing around there, seeing how it worked.
Okay.
I forgot to remove him.
Okay, well, he's a spaghetti admirer now.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I did kind of like spaghetti savant.
I do too.
Yeah. The Nick Robertson thing is definitely grimy, because that sort of just, like, it's harassment. Like, he shouldn't be doing that. That's fucking disgusting that he would put women into that position, or anybody into that position. And it's good that he lost his job if he were skeeving on people in his industry that way.
Huh?
But EA did a lot of bad shit this year.
Yeah.
Just about the only thing EA didn't do was ask for pictures of feet, as it turns out.
I would say Need for Speed is not top 3.
Yeah, I guess, because I also think that having the expectation that Need for Speed was going to be good is maybe silly.
Yeah.
Like, the loot boxes is bad, but
also Battlefront 2 is already there.
It is, and it better exemplifies that more. Also, similar to Shadow of War, it was just sort of like a prelude.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention the most crazy part of Battlefront 2 is the fucking government is involved.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got... I can't remember what the other country was, part of the European Union, but they looked at that and were just
Belgium.
Like... Yeah, Belgium was like, we're going to determine if this is gambling. And like a day later, they're like, oh, it's gambling.
Yeah, that was the funniest part, was it took so little time.
Yeah. Someone turned on the game and played it for 10 minutes and was like, what the fuck is this shit? But they then were like, we're going to petition to have like these kind of games banned across the entire European Union. And then you got Chris Lee, I think is the guy's name, in Hawaii, who set up a press conference.
Chris Lee knows best.
He set up a press conference where you got a guy out there to go like, guys, loot boxes, it's a trap.
Was it Admiral Akbar?
Looked like it.
Just sends him out there. He walks onto stage.
Yeah.
He goes up to the microphone, just says, "It's a trap," and then leaves. Give the people what they want.
So he has been talking about now of just like government intervention into this stuff, and I'm of two minds on it, where I don't like the idea of government overseeing content in media, and this would still count as content in media, but I also don't trust the game industry to self-police.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because this all just reminds me of the whole Night Trap, like, ESRB establishment thing, and of like, it is insane that we're back at this point, and boy, leave it to EA to be the dumbasses to get us here. Anyway, they're already number one. I just forgot to mention that because it is actually maybe like the most insane part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
I think ejecting Mass Effect into the cold vacuum of space is good where it's at, because I think actual people got fired from Visceral, and that is worse.
Yes. I also agree. Also, Mass Effect, a lot of the people who were instrumental in making Mass Effect what it was are gone.
Yeah.
So there is probably never going to be another good Mass Effect game anyway. And the loss of Visceral is much more
Yeah, it's kind of the way
dispiriting.
I look at it too, is Visceral would have been able to continue making good games, whereas I have less faith in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
They didn't make the list here, but I also think that their acquisition of Respawn is troubling.
Yeah, because it's only a matter of time before Respawn now gets closed down too.
Yeah, well, first right of refusal for you.
Uh-huh.
Rest in peace, Respawn. I mean, they dicked him over too with the release of Titanfall 2, like just placing it when they did.
Like, that was clearly, there was something up with that. Like, why would you put that out the same day Battlefield 1? It would make sense if like was from a different company, but they're both EA games. Why would they put?
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's, that took place like late last year, and it was almost like that was the opening shots of them going like, "We're going to shit things up in 2017, guys. Wait till you get a load of this."
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, they read the Golden Grammys last year and were like, "Konami,
We can do better.
This will never do." All right, that's the list. Number 3.
Ejecting Mass Effect into the cold vacuum of space.
Their faces will forever be tired, because they're dead. Number 2.
That was a real Mr. Plinkett thing you did there. Our faces will be tired forever, 'cause they're dead. Number 2. Visceral games being sent to the EA graveyard.
They're also dead. And number 1, surprising absolutely nobody,
Battlefront 2.
I'm sorry to dive so deep into Battlefront 2, but guys, so much fucked with that game.
It really is.
Like, it's one of those things where I feel like if I leave any one part of it out, I'm doing a disservice to what the story is of Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are up to the final category. Just mostly boiling down to Danny and me. Danny.
Yeah, grand finale.
I'm here.
Okay.
Here we go. Post the list. Best old game we have played this year. This is a new category that maybe doesn't deserve to be in the Grammys. I kind of just tacked it on last minute. Games include Illbleed, Road Rash, Harvester, Tetris Battle Gaiden, Sex Triv, Facemaker, and Kid Clown. Do you have anything to add to that list, Danny?
Not really.
Okay. We should mention, too, that obviously Danny is a huge fan of Metroid. A huge fan of Metroid, and I am a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. We have both played those libraries pretty extensively this year, and we did not feel it would be fair to include any of them in this list because it would... We're biased. So... A silent acknowledgement from Danny.
Yep.
All right, Danny, we need to make a top... just keeps popping up. I think it's just catching my voice. Hello, I'm Danny. I love Sex Triv.
What is that? I don't think I saw that one.
Sex Triv?
It's like just an old, like, arcade of
all these games
a trivia game. It just seems like it was from something for old people to play.
So you know those, you would have a screen at the edge of a bar and it's just like, here's your game with like boobs in it,
Oh, okay.
like your
Sure.
Miss Worlds.
Yeah.
It seems like a very, very early version of that, where it's just it looks super rudimentary, like this could come through on an Atari. And it's just a
Right.
series of sex trivia, and you make wagers with your friends and see who is the sex master. The reason it makes the list, I think, is because a lot of the questions on there are outdated. So Danny and I had a lot of fun trying to figure out like what the fuck the most common STD was in like late 1970s standards.
Yeah, it was weird.
Chlamydia?
I think actually chlamydia was the number one.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah. There was a really good one that made me laugh my head off, where like Danny kept getting the low ball questions, and one of them was just like, what term does love muscle refer to for a woman? And I was like, I bet you it's vagina, but I wonder if they get like super specific with it, like clitoris or something like that. And just the first one's vagina, and I was like, fuck you, man, like you're getting all the easy ones.
It's like he's playing Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah.
It felt like something from those like game show TV shows.
If any game needed a 8-bit man jacking off into his own mouth with an invisible penis, it's Sex Triv. I'm referring to the Nintendo Jeopardy. There's a guy. It's jack off motion.
Yep. Yeah, I know.
Everyone remembers.
Yeah. He's supposed to be like fist pumping, I think.
Yeah, supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking Sex Triv off if you don't want it on there, Danny.
Like we had fun with it.
I did, but I don't think we had fun with it compared to some of the other games. I think it was noteworthy, but look, I'm saying it's no face maker.
That's true. Facemaker was top notch shit.
I say take Sex Triv off.
Okay.
Larry,
So-
please.
That's an appropriate name.
Larry, no. I really liked Harvester, Danny.
Harvester?
That's the
That
one
one-
where.
that
Oh my
one,
god! How could you
yeah.
not remember Harvester?
No, like I'm trying to remember, and I remember. Yep, that one is a good one.
We
That
came
one is a
upon
very,
that-
very good one.
Batman eating cheeseburgers, and we shot him for his cheeseburgers.
And we killed kids, killing their mothers, eating her.
You know,
That's
this channel is called DestroyAllChildren.com. No piece of content we have done has better exemplified that name than when we played Harvester. Numerous children were destroyed in that game.
There's another game here that would fit.
Oh, you destroy a lot of kids in Road Rash.
Yeah. Whip them with chains.
I'm maybe okay with taking Road Rash off. It's fun. I don't
Okay.
think it was as remarkable as anything else we played, Danny.
Yeah, that Road Rash is remarkable. All the
Oh.
other ones had genuine reactions.
What? What
Yeah.
was the one? What was the racing one where you got knocked off? Was that Road Rage where you get knocked off your bike and just ran the rest of the way?
That's Road Rash.
Okay.
That was
didn't
fun.
remember.
But like,
I got to meet a bear, and then I got arrested.
That's right. For some reason, I was thinking it might have been like Skitchin or something.
Ah, it's Road Rash. Sorry, you were saying something, Danny?
I was just looking at the. So we have around 5, I guess. Yeah, we do. I'd say probably Illbleed because I really like that one. It's like a good top one.
Illbleed's really good, but I genuinely think we maybe had more fun with Harvester.
But you cut out. You cut
Oh,
out. there.
I said I think we genuinely had more fun with Harvester.
Harvester.
Compare total laughs per minute from Illbleed to Harvester.
Oh, you number crunched it.
Yes,
you-
I've done the math. I found out it takes 40 hours to get the sense of pride and accomplishment you want out of Harvester.
You checked how many LPMs are in each.
Yes.
Laughs per minute.
Mm-hmm.
What is Kid Clown?
Kid Clown is you are a clown who is a child, and you are running along like an asymmetric trying to avoid
Wait,
different track.
What? What kind of track?
A track. There's traps in the track that
What
try
kind
to
of...
trap the kid clown in the track.
No, an asymmetric, you say?
Isometric.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said asymmetric.
Yeah, I know. I goofed. It's near
okay.
Automatona.
Yes, Kid Clown in Crazy Chase. I've played that. I didn't remember. Okay.
It is a real good game. We almost debated playing all the games that developer put out until we realized that Daikatana was a game that they made, and then I vetoed that idea. I'm not playing Daikatana.
No, I don't blame you.
I really liked Kid Clown, though. It's actually a lot of fun. The animations in that game is really good.
Yeah.
They really are.
By the way, you misspelled clown.
Whoopsie doops.
How did he spell it?
I also like how it's called Kid Clown in Crazy Chase. Like they were gonna make a lot more.
I think there actually was another Kid Clown game.
There are like
Probably.
I think 3.
So I mentioned this in another Discord, but allow me to share my story here as well. So one day, I'm thinking to myself, boy, I'd like to see some women dressed up as Harley Quinn. So I go over to one of those sites, and I just mash it in. That doesn't look like Kid Clown at all. What the fuck?
That is.
Get this and remove Kid Clown from the list.
So in Japan, this was Mickey Mouse 3 Yume Fusen.
We actually, I think, noticed that they put out some Mickey Mouse games and like some Looney Tune games.
This is the first game in the Kid Clown series. Yeah.
The Kid Clown saga.
And then here in series on the right, it's listed as being part of Crazy Castle. Like Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle.
A rich franchise that I think should come back and capitalize off the current retro game revival craze.
It actually should. Crazy Castle's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so like Illbleed, Harvester, Tetris Battle Gaiden, do we want to make this like top 5 or top 3? Danny,
maybe top 5.
Top 5, okay. My vote for number 1 is Harvester.
Do I get a say in this?
If you want to, yeah.
Illbleed.
Illbleed is good and it's real crazy, but I also don't think that we really reached the points in that game where it really takes off. We only played the first attraction, I guess you would call it.
Oh. Yeah.
Whereas
I could understand that.
Comparatively, we
jumped
did play
around.
A lot of Harvester.
Yeah, we jumped around a lot in Harvester, but we also saw a lot of Harvester.
Yeah, I would say Harvester. Harvester is good.
There was that whole bit where I was popping eyeballs, man. And then we like saw our character portrait and he was bleeding to death. His eyes were gone. Oh, if anyone is watching this part of this discussion and didn't kill themselves when I started talking about Battlefront 2, they should go watch that Harvester.
Well, that narrows it down even further.
Yeah. The Harvester is an amazing game. I do think Illbleed is number 2, though.
Me too.
Yeah. I think
great.
I think that Tetris Battle Gaiden is probably one of my favorite multiplayer games.
I
think so too.
And we did play that this year, and
we played that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Did you play as Ninja Kid?
We both. So I think if I remember correctly, I said Ninja Kid is banned, and then Danny immediately selected Ninja Kid.
Sure.
Yep.
Did me raw. I would have put Money Battle Exchanger on this list, but that Danny would have carried that to number 1.
Money Puzzle Exchanger, you
mean?
What did you ever use the character that just like copies your board or makes you switch boards with the other player and just like fill your board with garbage?
Yeah.
Just like really mess them up.
You can. So there was somebody on another Discord I was talking to that they were talking a lot. I think it was the Gigaboots one that the guy who runs that channel was talking about how much he loves Tetris Attack. And the point I made to him is Tetris Attack is where kids go to battle, and Tetris Battle Gaiden is where men go to die.
Where you go to wage war.
Fucking A. Tetris Battle Gaiden is. It is a shame that that game, that they're not putting anything like that out. Like, they tried that, I think it's Spira was doing that for a while, and then they turned that into Tetris Attack.
Wait, really?
Yeah, so I bought the game, and this will not surprise you, I refunded the game almost immediately, but, like, legitimately, it was not what I was expecting it was, because I played the beta to that game, and it was a totally different game.
I remember this. Yeah, you were saying you were just super.
Yeah, we were going to do an outplaying of it, and then I got like one match in. I was just like, this is fucked up. This isn't at all the thing that I thought it was.
Yeah, because like I played it back when it was just Tetris Battle Gaiden.
I wonder if there were issues with like using tetraminos and stuff like that, and they could rearrange that into some battle Tetris like thing easier than they could try to like remove the problematic parts of that game.
Maybe.
I don't know, but it's a shame what they did to that thing. Unless
Yeah.
you like Tetris Attack, which yeah,
I do.
eh,
I don't like it as much, but
is a game for children, and thusly they must be destroyed.
I don't disagree.
Danny, what do you think deserves to be number 3? I'm looking at one right now. It's quite a visage, but I think we both liked it a whole lot.
Kid Clown, I say would be good number 3.
Whoa, I was talking about Facemaker.
Like Facemaker. Well, Facemaker, we did have a lot of laughs.
I do think Kid Clown is the better game, because all Facemaker is a very rudimentary design your own monster thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's more the novelty of like, boy, every one of these face components just look tumorous that made that thing fun.
Yeah, but like for me, I like Kid Clown because that was actually a pretty solid game.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
It was a hidden gem we found. You know what I mean?
But would you say it is better or worse than Tetris Battle Gaiden?
Better than Tetris Battle Gaiden.
I don't know if I agree with
Tetris Battle Gaiden can go to. I had more fun in Facemaker than I did Tetris.
Tell you what, we'll compromise. Kid Clown number 3, Tetris at number 4, Facemaker number 5.
All right.
I think that's our list.
You know, weird thing is, like, I actually played Kid Clown quite a bit as a wee child, and I have not thought about it for 1 second until this came up.
It's a really good game.
Like, even seeing the name, I was like, what is this? And then, like, look at box art, like, oh, okay.
I genuinely enjoyed Kid Clown a lot. I really should actually, like, check back in on that thing and play more of it. Because we only did, like, the first level. But it was fun. It was really good. Like, you could tell that was a... You could tell right from the start, like, you know, the rest of the game is going to be as fun as what I'm playing right now. Like, they got a really good idea, and they've kind of laid it out well.
Yeah.
But Harvester, man. Holy shit, what a game.
I would like to,
I punched my mom, and she died, and then I got arrested, and instead of that just being a game over, it was a 5-minute sequence of, like, my trial and going to the electric chair. And then my mom's there anyway, and then they zap me, and I bleed out of my mouth and die.
I would like to mention really quick, if you search Wikipedia for Kid Clown, the first 2 results are Kid Clown in Crazy Chase and Kid Clown in Nightmare World, and then Crazy Castle series. After that, John Leguizamo.
What?
I assume because of the clown in Spawn.
Okay.
Fisher Stevens.
Uh,
And then Krusty the Clown. Oh, okay, I see. Because John Leguizamo had a semi-autobiographical one-man theater show, Class Clown, later renamed Ghetto Clown. Meanwhile, Fisher Stevens directed it, which is why they're both there.
you should. I could not recite to you any of it because I don't quite remember, but you should go look up interviews of John Leguizamo talking about his experience working with Steven Seagal.
Oh.
Because, spoilers, John Leguizamo thinks Steven Seagal is a bitch.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
He has, maybe on a few occasions, told Steven Seagal that much to his face. I watched that about a week ago, those interviews, and actually started sitting around going like, man, I kind of miss John Leguizamo.
He's in the John Wick movies.
He's also in The Pest.
Sure. Okay. Leguizamo recalled this story during a recent appearance on. We were in rehearsals for Executive Decision. I'm playing his master sergeant, and we come in for rehearsals, and he says, I'm in command. Everything I say is law. Anybody does agree? I was like, wahaha. I started cracking up because he sounded like a retard. And he came up and he taekwondoed me against the brick, and he hit me with his elbow, Leguizamo recalled. He's 6'5". He caught me off guard and knocked all the air out of me. And I was like, why? Why? I really want to see how big and fat he was and that he runs like a girl. But I didn't because all I could say was, why? Why did he slam me against the wall? We were rehearsing. What's the big deal? Why can't I call him names? If I can't let it out, it's going to build like a cancer.
John Leguizamo was right to do everything that he did. Oh, man. Okay. Danny, I think you and I should tackle this one. So you want to give the numbers or the names?
I'll do the numbers.
All right.
Number 5.
Facemaker.
Number 4.
Tetris Battle Gun and where men go die.
Number 3.
This kid clown and crazy chase.
Number 2.
I sure do like that kid clown. I wish he was number 2, but it's Illbleed.
And number 1.
Harvester, I guess. Yeah, why not? Man, remember that part of Harvester where we got that FBI agent and turned around and he had that dopey look on his face?
Yep.
I can't believe you wanted to put Illbleed above it.
Alright, I forgot about him.
There are so many moments I can point to with our experience with Harvester where I'm just like, oh man.
I still like Illbleed more, but Harvester is fantastic.
It is a tough choice between which one is number 1 and 2, but I kind of feel based on just what we have played of each.
Yeah,
this year,
I think that's the main thing. Because look, if you showed him that less level Illbleed,
oh yeah.
I don't think there would be much of a decision.
Well, part of our problem with Illbleed is we want to get a more an audio setup that is more conducive to that, because I think if the volume is as low as it is when we normally play these things, so it doesn't like pick up into the mic, we're missing a lot of the dialogue in Illbleed, and that's like losing a lot of what makes that game as good as it is.
True.
And so we need to get like a headphone setup thing and actually be able to sit down and hear that game. Otherwise, there's like no point in doing it.
Okay, well, that's it.
Queen Worm is great. That part where she's a ghost and her caretaker's a ghost, and he's just like, oh boy, let's go back to hell.
I thought you said you only played the first one.
We did.
That's the second.
Danny has not experienced Queen Worm yet.
Oh, okay.
I have. I've beat Illbleed. Played the whole thing.
Can't believe I played the whole thing.
Well, that was the Golden
That's a dated
Grammys.
reference to an old commercial, by the way.
It sure is.
Danny.
Yeah. See, Michael Jordan was surprised that he ate the entire pizza because the pizza's really big.
So he needs an Alka-Seltzer. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Because that was back when people used Alka-Seltzer.
Instead of stomaching the pain because it makes them feel alive.
Or instead of just like taking an antacid that doesn't require prep time.
Yeah, drinking shitty water.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for the Golden Grimmies, and it is in fact it for the Golden Gizmos 2017.
What a long, strange trip it's been.
To be fair, I don't actually think this would have taken as long as if it weren't for the fact that, again, a lot of really good video games came out this year. It in terms of sheer quantity and in quality as well. And
also, a lot of really bad stuff happened.
Yes, a lot of shit went down. 2017 in gaming was a very full year.
When you edit this, you should look and see exactly how long you were talking about Battlefront.
10-15 minutes at least.
Yeah.
I understand it. Again, like, I don't think you can break down that thing without trying to hit every beat of, like, what happened. That's a very multifaceted event.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I cannot think of anything that quite blew up to that degree in modern memory. Like, the Konami...
I can't either.
The Konami stuff was weird and crazy, but not even that blew up to the degree that this did.
I mean, like, going back, like, the stuff with Mortal Kombat, I guess.
I think
like, that's kind of the biggest thing I can think of.
I think the closest we've reached, at least to, like, the sort of, consumer or gamer reaction to the whole thing that is, like, recent was maybe the Xbox One
Yep.
always on thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, but then again, like, this thing also has the whole component of just, like, a palpable loss in stock value and the government getting involved.
I mean, the Xbox One had a pretty palpable response. Like, they clearly did a 180 on it after it. And like, no, it's all right.
And you know that's part of what makes the Battlefield 2 thing, Battlefront. Oh my god, worse is they haven't done quite as much of a 180.
They're sticking to their guns mostly.
Like, you can't buy this stuff, but that progression system is still fucked.
That's not the right thing to stick to your guns on either.
No. And, like, ostensibly they're going to go back to it because they had that thing that came out that was just like, we're taking it out for now.
Uh-huh.
So
people's theories are they're waiting till after everything blows over, not going to talk about it, and then just put it back up.
Probably, yeah.
Put Battlefront.
I'm actually surprised they aren't in. I figured they would have added right before Christmas, so then people who are just getting it Christmas would be able to buy some crystal.
Gotcha, suckers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's... Yeah, I will maybe put up a timestamp that is just like, yo, if you're familiar with everything that happened with Battlefront 2, skip ahead. But, like, I think there's... If we're going to sit down and say what the biggest shitstorm of the year is, we have to give our just due to that shitstorm as we do every year. And unfortunately, in Battlefront 2's case, it is maybe the biggest, most detail-ridden shitstorm that we have ever had to deal with. Like, not even the Konami Kojima thing had as many, like, single points that you had to hit on to get to the full picture.
Yep. Multifaceted.
Oh, yeah. Hey, who knows, next year... Fuck.
That's a good way to end it. Hey, man, next year...
It never stops. We'll see you again at the end of 2018.
Yeah.
Or we'll all be skeletons by then.
Just be 3 corpses in a fallout shelter. Surrounded by Jim Baker's food buckets.
Well, for Destroy All Children, I am George Brundle. Remember that I fought for Persona 5 and skeletons in video games.
I'm Larry Davis. Remember, I fought for good games.
Remember, I'm Daniel and I didn't contribute anything at all.
I was actually just hoping it was just like, I'm Daniel. And then silence.
Yep.
We love you, Danny. Exactly. We'll be back next year. Bye-bye.